The warning beacons around the Black Star had been active for centuries. Every known species had added their own symbols to them. Skulls, broken crowns, burning suns, words that meant the same thing in 1,000 languages. Do not enter. Do not look.
Do not wake her. No alien man questioned it anymore.
They simply turned their ships away. Elias Carter did not see the beacons until it was too late. His scout ship, the Horizon Sparrow, had already lost 2 engines while mapping a strange gravity field near the outer rim. The star chart said the region was empty. The sensors disagreed. The ship shuddered, alarms screamed, and Elias fought the controls with clenched teeth. "Easy, girl," he muttered, even as sparks fell from the ceiling. "Just hold together." The Sparrow dropped out of faster-than-light travel violently. Space snapped back into shape, and the ship spun. Elias slammed into his harness as the main screen filled with static and red warning symbols. Power failed. The engines died completely. Silence followed, heavy and final. Outside the cracked viewport, a dark planet drifted closer. Its surface was marked with long scars that glowed faintly, like old wounds that never healed. Orbiting it were broken ships, dozens of them, frozen in place like insects trapped in amber. Elias swallowed hard. "This wasn't on the map," he said quietly. The autopilot was dead. Life support flickered, but held. With no other option, the Sparrow fell toward the planet, burning through the thin atmosphere. Elias braced himself as the ship tore through clouds and slammed into the ground with a scream of metal. When everything stopped, Elias did not move. Pain came slowly. His head rang. His left arm burned where a shard of metal had cut into it. He took shallow breaths, counting them, checking if anything inside him felt broken beyond use. He was alive. The ship was not. Smoke filled the cabin. Emergency lights glowed weakly. Elias forced himself to unbuckle and stand. "Doll!" His legs shook, but they held. He grabbed a med kit, sealed his arm, and checked the external scanner with a handheld device. The readings made his stomach tighten. He was not alone. Something powerful moved across the surface, slow and steady, like the planet itself was breathing. The energy signature did not match any known species. It was old, dense, dangerous. Elias considered his options. There were none. He stepped out of the broken ship and onto dark soil that felt warm beneath his boots. The air was breathable, thick with a metallic scent. The sky above was deep violet, streaked with black clouds that moved against the wind. Far away, something shifted. Elias raised his scanner, but it went dead with a soft click. He exhaled slowly and lowered it. Running would be pointless. Hiding would be worse. So he did the only thing that made sense to him. He walked forward. She felt him the moment he crossed the outer ridge. Fear rippled through the ground, sharp and familiar. Alien fear always felt the same to her. Loud, jagged, poisonous. It crawled into her senses and burned like acid. That fear had shaped her life. It had hunted her, wounded her, and turned her into something the galaxy whispered about. She rose from the stone where she had been resting, her tall form unfolding slowly. The markings along her skin glowed brighter as her awareness spread. Broken ships lay scattered around her territory, reminders of what happened when fear met power. Another male had come. Another mistake. She moved toward him, each step leaving faint cracks in the ground. She did not rush. There was no need. They always panicked. They always attacked or begged or tried to control her. Then she paused. The fear she expected did not come. There was caution, yes, pain, exhaustion, but not the sharp terror that always triggered her power. Confused, she slowed. Elias felt the pressure before he saw her. The air grew heavy, pressing against his chest. His instincts screamed at him to stop, to turn back, to get on his knees. He ignored them. When she finally emerged from behind a ridge of black stone, Elias froze, not in fear, but in shock. She was taller than any human, her body shaped like a warrior carved from living metal and flesh. Her skin shimmered with deep shades of blue and silver, etched with glowing lines that pulsed gently, like stars beneath the surface. Her eyes were bright, not with rage, but with sharp intelligence. She was terrifying. She was also still. They stood facing each other across the dark ground. Wind howled between them. Broken metal creaked in the distance. Elias slowly raised both hands, palms open. "I'm not armed," he said, keeping his voice calm. "My ship crashed. I don't want to fight." She tilted her head slightly. No alien male had ever spoken to her like that. Her power stirred, uncertain. It fed on fear, but there was little to take from him. Instead, it brushed against something else. Curiosity, stubborn will, quiet determination. Dangerous traits, but not the ones she knew. She stepped closer. Elias's heart pounded, but he did not back away. He noticed details instead. The way the glowing lines on her skin brightened when the wind shifted. The faint marks of old injuries, healed, but not forgotten. "You don't look like a monster," he said before he could stop himself. The words hung between them. She flinched. That reaction shocked her more than any weapon ever had. Monster. That word had followed her across worlds. Spoken with hatred, with fear, with lies. But this male did not say it with disgust. He sounded confused. She took another step forward, then another, until she stood close enough that Elias had to tilt his head to look at her face. Her eyes searched him, as if trying to understand how he existed. "You should be afraid," she said at last. Her voice was deep, layered, like echoes overlapping each other. Elias nodded. "I am. A little."
She waited. "But I've been afraid before," he continued.
"It doesn't mean I have to be cruel." Something inside her shifted. The glow along her skin dimmed slightly. The pressure in the air eased. For the first time in centuries, her power did not surge uncontrollably in the presence of a male. She studied him in silence. Elias's arm began to bleed again. He hissed softly, pressing his hand against the wound. She noticed immediately. Her gaze dropped to the red liquid, then back to his face. "You are injured," she said. "Yeah," Elias admitted. Crash landing. She had seen injuries before. Usually they came with weapons, with screaming, with threats. This was different. He did not ask her to fix it. He did not accuse her. Slowly, carefully, she reached out. Elias stiffened, but did not move. Her fingers hovered near his arm, trembling slightly, as if she feared her own strength. When she touched him, it was gentle, almost hesitant. The pain eased. Elias blinked. Warmth spread through his arm, soothing the damage. The bleeding stopped. He stared at her hand, then at her face. "Thank you," he said quietly. No one had ever thanked her before. She withdrew her hand as if burned. "Why did you not run?" she asked. Elias thought about it. About the wrecked ship behind him. About the empty sky. About the way fear had never saved anyone he knew. "Because I'm tired of letting fear decide everything," he said. "And because you didn't attack me." She looked past him at the field of broken ships, at the silent proof of what fear had created.
"They attacked first," she said. "I figured," Elias replied.
A long silence followed. Above them, the clouds shifted, revealing the distant stars. Somewhere far away, the galaxy continued believing its old stories. On the dark planet no one dared to name, a human stood unbroken before the being every alien man feared, and for the first time, she did not feel alone. The night on the dark planet came slowly, like a heavy curtain being pulled across the sky. The violet light faded into deep blue, and the glowing scars on the land became brighter, outlining old battles and buried memories. Elias stayed where he was, even though every part of his body told him this was a bad idea. She watched him carefully. Most alien males could not stay still in her presence. Fear always broke them. Their minds filled with panic, and that panic fed her power until it exploded outward. That was how ships were destroyed. That was how bodies were broken, not because she wanted it, but because fear demanded it. This human was different. He sat down slowly on a flat stone near the wreck of his ship, making sure every movement was clear and slow. He did not turn his back on her, but he did not stare either. He removed his helmet and set it beside him, exposing his face to the cold air. She frowned.
"You make yourself vulnerable," she said. Elias shrugged slightly.
If you wanted me dead, I wouldn't be standing here anyway. That answer disturbed her more than fear ever had. She circled him at a distance, her footsteps silent despite her size. From every angle, she searched for hidden weapons, hidden intent, hidden hunger. She found none, only exhaustion, pain, and a strange calm resolve that felt steady instead of sharp.
"You are not like the others," she said.
I get that a lot, Elias replied, then paused. Actually, no.
I don't, but I feel like I should.
She did not understand the humor, but she sensed it. The tension in the air loosened slightly. She stopped in front of him again. All males who come here want something. Power, control, proof of strength. What do you want, human? Elias thought carefully before answering. Lying felt pointless. I want to survive, he said. And if possible, fix my ship. That's it. She waited for more.
That's really it, he added. I'm a scout.
I map space. I don't conquer it. The word conquer stirred something dark in her memory. She turned away, walking toward a rise of stone that overlooked the field of broken ships. Elias hesitated, then followed at a respectful distance. She did not stop him. From the ridge, the wreckage looked like a graveyard. Ships of all sizes, all designs, all eras. Some were ancient, others almost new. The galaxy had kept sending mails, despite the warnings. Fear had drawn them as much as ambition. They called me many names, she said, her voice quieter now. Devourer. Witch. Curse. They said I killed without reason.
Elias swallowed. Did you? She clenched her fists.
The markings on her skin brightened, then dimmed as she forced herself to breathe. They feared me, she said. Their fear attacked me before their weapons did. Elias nodded slowly. Fear makes people stupid. She looked at him sharply.
And humans are not afraid? Oh, we're afraid all the time, Elias said honestly. We just learned that fear doesn't have to lead. That answer stayed with her. She led him to a sheltered area between tall stone formations where the wind was weaker. Strange, crystal-like growths lit the area with a soft glow. This was where she rested, where the noise of the galaxy could not reach her. Elias sat again, slower this time. His body was beginning to feel the crash. Bruises bloomed beneath his suit. His stomach growled, loudly, breaking the silence. She tilted her head.
You are damaged. Hungry, he corrected with a weak smile. She disappeared without warning, moving so fast the air cracked.
Elias flinched, then cursed himself. Relax, he muttered. You're the guest here. Minutes passed. Then she returned, holding a strange, fruit-like object that pulsed faintly. She set it down between them. It is safe, she said. For humans, Elias raised an eyebrow. You checked? She hesitated. I observed your biology when I healed you. That's impressive, he said, choosing not to think too hard about it. I took a careful bite. The taste was sharp, but pleasant, like citrus mixed with metal. Energy rushed through him, easing his fatigue. Wow, he said. That's better than ration bars. She watched him eat, fascinated, not by the act itself, but by how relaxed he looked, doing it in her presence. No shaking hands, no pleading eyes. Why did the others fear you so much? Elias asked gently. She did not answer right away.
My kind was created for balance, she said finally. We absorb aggression.
We reflected. Against peaceful beings, we are calm. Against violent ones, we become overwhelming.
Elias frowned.
So the more afraid they were, the worse it got. Yes, that's tragic, he said softly. The word struck her deeply. No one had ever described her existence that way. Above them, a distant light flickered in the sky. Elias noticed it instantly. His posture changed. That's not a star, he said. She followed his gaze. Her senses expanded outward, touching the edge of space. Ships. Multiple. Her markings flared bright as fear rippled across the void, not from her, but from them. Alien fear. Old fear. Heavy fear. They have found you, she said. Elias stood, his jaw tightening. That's a patrol signal. Someone detected my crash. Then they will come here, she replied. And they will be afraid. Elias looked at her, really looked at her, and understood the danger, not just to himself, but to her. They'll see you as a weapon, he said. Not a person. She met his eyes. That is all they have ever seen.
Elias took a slow breath.
Then we need to change how this goes. She studied him. How? He smiled, tired, but determined. By not doing what they expect. The ships grew closer, their lights cutting through the clouds. Automated signals echoed across the planet, warnings layered with panic-coded frequencies. She felt her power rising in response to that fear. It pressed against her control, eager, dangerous. Elias stepped closer to her, not touching, but near enough that she could feel his presence. His calm wrapped around her like an anchor. Focus on me, he said quietly, not them. She hesitated, then did something she had never done before. She trusted him. Her glow softened. The pressure eased, the ground stopped trembling. In orbit, alien sensors struggled to understand what they were seeing. The readings made no sense. The monster was not reacting. On the surface of the forbidden world, a human stood beside the most feared being in the galaxy, and fear, for once, did not decide the outcome. Everything was about to change. The first shuttle broke through the clouds with a scream of engines. Its hull was marked with the symbols of 3 different alien coalitions, all forced into cooperation by fear. More ships followed, circling the planet like nervous predators. Their weapons stayed powered, not firing yet, but ready. She felt them all. Their fear poured down like poison rain. Old memories stirred inside her, screaming alarms, weapons locking onto her, voices shouting orders she never understood. Her markings flared bright, fighting against her control. Elias felt it too. Not the fear itself, but the change in the air. The ground vibrated softly beneath his boots. Hey, he said, keeping his voice steady. Stay with me. She closed her eyes for a moment. His presence was strange to her, calm, solid, like a wall against a storm. They will not listen, she said. They never do. Maybe not, Elias replied. But I'll try anyway. The first shuttle landed roughly a few hundred meters away, kicking up dark dust. Armed figures poured out, spreading into a wide formation. They wore heavy armor, their movements stiff and nervous. Targeting beams flickered across the terrain, briefly passing over Elias and lingering on her. A loudspeaker crackled. "Unknown human," a distorted voice said. "Move away from the entity immediately. This is a containment operation." Elias stepped forward instead. "My name is Elias Carter," he called out. "I'm a scout. I crashed here by accident. No one needs to get hurt." The soldiers shifted uneasily. Fear spiked. "She is not an entity," Elias continued. "She's alive. She's sentient. And she hasn't attacked anyone." A harsh laugh came through the speaker. "We have records of entire fleets destroyed." Elias nodded. "Because you were afraid of her." That answer confused them. Behind him, she watched closely. No male had ever stood between her and armed enemies before. They either hid behind shields or charged forward in panic. This human did neither. A second shuttle landed. Then a third. "Human!" the voice said again, tighter now.
"Step aside. This is your last warning." Elias glanced back at her.
"If they fire, can you hold it back?" She hesitated. "I do not know." "Okay," he said. "Then we do this my way." He raised both hands high and activated his suit's external transmitter, boosting his voice and bio readings. Human tech was simple, but reliable.
"You're all afraid," Elias said plainly. "I get it."
I would be too if all I'd heard were stories. But fear is exactly why this keeps going wrong. Energy readings spiked across the soldier's displays. Her power reacted instinctively, feeding on the fear. The ground cracked slightly beneath her feet. Elias felt it and stepped closer, close enough that their shoulders almost touched.
"Breathe!"
She did not breathe the way humans did, but she followed the rhythm of his presence. Slowly the glow dimmed.
On the soldier's scanners, the impossible happened. The readings stabilized. "Command!" one soldier muttered. "The target's energy is
Dropping. That's not possible," another replied.
"It is," Elias said loudly, "because she's not reacting to fear anymore. She's reacting to choice." Silence fell over the battlefield. One alien commander, taller and older than the rest, stepped forward cautiously. His weapon stayed lowered, though his hands trembled. "You expect us to believe this creature is harmless?" he asked. "She's only dangerous when she's treated like a weapon," Elias replied. "Same as us." The commander studied Elias, then her. "Why hasn't she killed you?" Elias didn't answer right away. He looked up at her. "Because you didn't fear her," she said instead. Her voice carried across the field, deep and steady. "And you did not try to own me." Shock rippled through the ranks. "She speaks," someone whispered. "I always spoke," she replied. "You never listened." Fear surged again, sharp and sudden. Weapons powered up automatically. Her markings flared painfully. Elias felt panic rise in his chest, but he did not let it show. "Stop!" he shouted. "Power down your weapons! You're making it worse!" A warning shot fired by accident, striking the ground meters away. The explosion sent a wave of fear crashing into her like a hammer. Her power surged uncontrollably. The ground split open. Shockwaves rolled outward. Soldiers were thrown off their feet. Shuttles rocked violently. Elias was nearly knocked down, but she caught him, one massive hand gripping his suit gently, holding him upright. "I cannot stop it," she cried. "Their fear." "I know," Elias said through clenched teeth. "But listen to me. You're not alone anymore." He placed his hand against her arm, ignoring the heat, the hum of energy beneath her skin. "Look at me," he said. "Not them." She forced her focus onto him, onto his small, fragile form standing unbroken in the middle of chaos, onto the calm that still lived inside him, even now. Slowly, painfully, the surge weakened. The ground stopped shaking. The dust settled. Silence returned, heavier than before. The alien commander stared in disbelief. His soldiers scrambled to their feet, shaken but alive. "You could have destroyed us," the commander said. "Yes," she replied, "but I chose not to." Elias let out a shaky breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "That," he said, "is what choice looks like." The commander lowered his weapon fully. One by one, others followed. Fear did not vanish, but it softened. "We were told you were a mindless force," the commander admitted.
A disaster given shape. She looked past him at the wrecked ships, the scars on the planet. That lie was easier than the truth.
And what is the truth? The commander asked.
"That I was made to reflect what you bring to me," she said. "And for centuries you brought only fear." A long pause followed. Elias stepped forward again. "You don't have to fix the galaxy today," he said. "Just don't make it worse." The commander nodded slowly. "We will withdraw. For now." The shuttles powered down their weapons. Engines warmed, preparing to leave. As the ships lifted off, she felt the fear recede, thinning like fog under sunlight. Her markings faded to a soft glow. When the last shuttle disappeared into the clouds, she finally released Elias. Her hands trembled.
You risked everything, she said quietly. Elias smiled weakly.
Yeah, humans do that sometimes.
She looked at him with something new in her eyes. Not fear, not confusion. Respect. Far above the planet, the alien fleets pulled back, carrying with them a truth the galaxy was not ready to accept. The monster was not the danger. Fear was. And a single human had proven it. The quiet after the ships left felt unreal. The wind moved gently across the dark planet, brushing over broken metal and glowing scars in the ground. Elias stood still for a long moment, letting his body calm down. His legs finally began to shake now that the danger had passed. She noticed immediately. "You are exhausted," she said. Elias let out a short laugh. "Yeah, that part always comes late." She guided him back toward the stone shelter. Slower this time. The energy around her was different now. Controlled. Focused. For the first time since Elias had arrived, the planet itself felt calm. He sat down heavily on a flat rock. His breathing was rough, his hands dirty and scraped. The crash, the tension, the confrontation, all of it had caught up to him at once. She stood nearby, watching the sky. "They will return," she said. "Even if they say they will not." Elias nodded. "I know. Fear doesn't disappear that easily." She looked at him. "Then why did you do it?"
Do what? Stand between me and them, she said.
"You had nothing to gain." Elias thought about it. About the moment when weapons powered up. About how small he had felt, and how impossible it had been to step aside. "Because if I didn't," he said slowly, "they would have proven their stories right. And you would have paid for it." Her glow softened again. That strange calm returned. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Eventually, Elias stood and walked back toward the wreck of his ship. The Horizon Sparrow lay broken and half buried, its hull split open like a wounded animal. He ran a hand along the metal, sadness in his eyes. "She's done," he said quietly. She joined him, studying the ship with interest. "You cared for it! Yeah!" he said. "She took me a long way." "You are now trapped," she stated. Elias shrugged. "Looks that way," she frowned. "That is unacceptable." He blinked. "What? You should not be stranded because of me," she said. "This world has taken enough." Elias smiled faintly. "You didn't crash my ship."
But my existence drew them here, she replied. Before he could answer, the ground beneath them hummed softly. A distant vibration moved through the stone, steady and controlled. Elias felt it through his boots. "What's that?" he asked. She turned her head, listening to something far deeper than sound. "My kind build more than fear," she said. "Come." She led him away from the wreckage, deeper into the planet's rocky terrain. As they walked, the scars in the ground formed patterns, paths he had not noticed before. Ancient paths. They reached a wide cavern entrance hidden beneath a ridge. Soft light spilled from within. Inside, the cavern opened into a vast chamber filled with crystalline structures and smooth metal surfaces grown into the stone itself. Elias stopped, stunned.
This is technology?
He whispered. "Yes," she said. A refuge, a place of balance. The air inside was warm and clean. Machines hummed quietly, still alive after centuries. Energy flowed in gentle waves, not violent or sharp.
My people built this before fear destroyed us, she continued.
When the galaxy decided we were a mistake. Elias walked slowly, touching one of the structures. "You've been living with this the whole time?" "I did not know how to share it," she said. "No one came without fear." Elias turned to her. "Then let me be the first." She studied him carefully, then placed her hand against one of the central structures. The chamber responded instantly. Lights brightened, systems awakened. A repair platform rose from the floor. Elias stared. "You can fix ships with this." "Yes," she said. "If parts remain?" Elias laughed. "Real and full this time. You just saved my career." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "I saved your life. Your career is insignificant." "Fair," he admitted. They worked together for hours. Elias retrieved usable components from the wreck, while she shaped energy fields with careful precision. Where human tools ended, her abilities began. But always controlled, never violent. As they worked, Elias talked about Earth, about humans arguing with each other constantly, yet still showing up when it mattered. About fear and how humans never really escaped it. They just learned to walk forward anyway. She listened. Truly listened. "My people believed fear must be absorbed," she said at one point.
You believe it must be faced?
Yeah, Elias replied. Fear's not an enemy.
It's a signal. She considered that deeply. By the time the repair platform finished, a small but functional shuttle stood ready. Not the Sparrow, but something new, built from shared effort. Elias ran a systems check. Everything worked. He turned to her, suddenly quiet.
I'll have to report this, he said.
"About you. About this place." Her glow dimmed slightly. "Then they will come again. Not like before," Elias said firmly. "This time they'll have facts. Proof. And I won't be alone." She looked at him.
You will leave?
He nodded, slowly.
I have to.
"But I'll come back." Silence stretched between them. "You said you were tired of letting fear decide," she said. "I am," Elias replied. "That includes the fear of losing what matters." She stepped closer. "Then take this truth with you." She reached out and placed her hand over his chest, above his heart. Energy flowed gently, not power, not force. "A resonance, so long as you remember me without fear," she said. "I will remain balanced."
Elias swallowed hard.
"I promise." The shuttle lifted smoothly from the cavern, rising toward the dark sky. She stood at the entrance, watching. As Elias broke through the clouds, he looked down at the forbidden planet, no longer forbidden in his mind. And on the surface below, the being the galaxy feared watched a human leave her world not with terror or rage,
but with hope. The galaxy was not ready yet, but it would be. The stars stretched endlessly above the shuttle as it left the planet behind. Elias leaned back in his seat, exhausted but not broken. Every nerve in his body was still alive from the crash, the confrontation, the repair, and the quiet moments in the hidden cavern. Yet for the first time in weeks, he felt a strange calm. He glanced at the coordinates he had set for the nearest human colony. It was time to report what had happened. Time to tell the galaxy the truth about the being everyone feared. But more than that, it was time to keep a promise. Back on the planet, she remained at the entrance of the cavern, her tall form silhouetted against the soft glow of the crystals inside. She watched as the shuttle disappeared into the distance, carrying with it a human who had dared to see her, not as a monster, but as a being with thought, feeling, and choice. For centuries, she had lived alone. Every male who came near had been consumed by fear, every encounter ending in disaster. They had treated her as a weapon, a curse, or a problem to be solved, and she had responded in kind. That was what the galaxy understood of her. That was the story they told themselves to feel safe. Elias had changed everything. He had faced her without fear, without desire for control, without prejudice. He had treated her with the respect that no other male had ever dared to give, and in return, she had trusted him. For the first time, she felt something she could not name. Connection. It was fragile, like the first light of dawn over a dark planet. But it was real. As the shuttle sped through the void, Elias reviewed his plan. He would transmit a report, yes, but not one that described her as a threat. Not one that fed the old legends of horror. He would tell the truth. That she was intelligent, that she had immense power, and that she responded to calm, courage, and understanding. It was risky. Many would not believe him. Many would not want to. But he had seen it with his own eyes, and the galaxy deserved the chance to learn the truth. He activated the ship's long-range transmitter, carefully encoding his message with every precaution to avoid interception or distortion. "My name is Elias Carter," he began, his voice steady. "I am a human scout. I have encountered the being known across the galaxy as the Devourer, the Monster, the Witch. I am here to tell you that those names are lies. She is not a weapon to be feared, but a being to be understood. I am alive because I treated her with respect, and she responded in kind. Any aggression toward her will result in disaster, but cooperation may yield understanding. She is not a threat. She is proof of what fear can create when misunderstood."
The transmission ended with coordinates to the hidden cavern, a place no male had ever reached without falling victim to fear.
Elias set the ship on autopilot and allowed himself a deep breath. Meanwhile, back on the planet, she waited. Her energy flowed gently through her veins, no longer surging violently from fear, but steady, warm, and calm. She felt the planet beneath her feet, its scars and wounds, and sensed the ripple of something new. Change. The galaxy had begun to hear a different story. Days passed. Scouts, diplomats, and curious researchers arrived cautiously at the edges of her world. Some were still afraid. Many more were skeptical. But Elias had paved the way, showing that approach without fear was possible. The first tentative contacts were made, and she learned to respond, not with instinctive defense, but with understanding. For the first time, she interacted with the galaxy not as a weapon of fear, but as a representative of her own will. Elias returned often, bringing news of human life, supplies, and stories from the wider universe. Every visit strengthened the fragile bond they shared. She had never understood companionship before. She had never experienced trust. Not really. Now, with Elias, she felt the beginnings of both. They would talk for hours, sharing knowledge of the stars, of human culture, and of the galaxy itself. Elias would laugh at her literal interpretations of some human phrases, and she would watch him with careful attention, noting the way his mind worked, the way his courage was steady yet flexible. Eventually, the alien fleets who had once feared her arrived, not as attackers, but as observers. The commander who had first tried to eliminate her stepped cautiously onto the surface of the planet. Elias stood beside her, calm and resolute, as the alien leader approached.
Everything you said is true, the commander admitted. We see it now.
We were wrong. Fear made us blind. She did not respond immediately. She studied the commander, the soldiers, the ships, and the wreckage of centuries-old misunderstandings. Then she spoke, clearly and firmly. I am not your weapon. I am not your curse. I exist, and I choose how to exist. Those who come here with respect may learn from me. Those who come with fear will learn nothing but loss. The message spread across the galaxy. The being everyone had feared became a symbol not of destruction, but of the danger of fear itself, and of the power of understanding. Elias had shown them the way. Humanity had led where the galaxy had failed. Eventually, the planet was no longer forbidden. Researchers and diplomats visited under strict protocols, always guided by her own rules. Ships landed with care, and stories of her terror faded into history. She was still feared by some, but respect replaced terror in most hearts. Elias, meanwhile, declined honors and rewards from human authorities. Recognition and medals were meaningless compared to the trust he had earned and the bond he had formed. He continued to return to her world, not as a conqueror or observer, but as a friend, a companion, and someone she could rely on. One evening, after a long day of teaching alien engineers to repair one of the ancient machines in her cavern, she and Elias stood at the edge of the cliffs overlooking the glowing scars of the planet. You have changed everything, she said quietly.
No, Elias replied. You changed yourself. I just helped you see it.
She considered this. I was feared because others could not see me. Now they still fear, but they also understand. Perhaps that is enough for now. He smiled faintly. It is more than enough. For the first time, the galaxy knows the truth. And for the first time, you know that fear does not have to rule your life. She looked at him, her eyes reflecting the distant stars.
And what of you, human? Will you leave now that the work is done?
He shook his head.
No, I promised I would return.
I will stay, as long as you allow it.
A quiet warmth passed through her.
For centuries, she had been alone, the galaxy's nightmare and legend. Now, she was no longer alone. Together, they looked out over the planet. Above them, the stars shone brighter than ever, unbroken and endless. Below them, the scars of fear and misunderstanding were healing, slowly, under their care. And for the first time in her long life, she smiled. Not a predatory glare, not a defensive snarl, but a true, unguarded smile. She had chosen connection over fear. She had chosen trust. And humanity, she realized, had been the key all along. The galaxy would not forget this lesson. A single human had faced the unknown, and in doing so, had reshaped the future. She would no longer be a legend of terror. She would be a legend of possibility. And beside her, Elias stood, proof that courage, understanding, and respect could change even the most feared being in the universe. The galaxy had learned something new. Fear could destroy, but trust could save. And she, the being every alien male had feared, had finally found her place, not as a weapon, not as a curse, but as someone who could choose her own destiny, guided by the one human who had seen her as she truly was. The stars stretched above them, endless and infinite, carrying the promise of a future shaped not by fear, but by the courage to understand. For the first time in centuries, she was free, and for the first time, humanity had earned a victory that would be remembered across worlds, not with weapons, but with heart, mind, and choice.